Art school is not necessary for creating good art, but it did change my life in a big way, and here are 10 of those most important lessons that I have to show you guys. Alright, let's start with lesson number 1, which is don't wait for opportunities, create them. And let me show you guys exactly how. Now, in my first year, we had this assignment where we were studying a book by an author that wrote a mix between art and science. Alright, so for my assignment, I sketched with gel pen on paper. I didn't know anything about digital art at the time. And I made these illustrations, and without letting me know, my professor, whose name is Ajay, sent these illustrations to that author via mail, and that ended up with the book being republished, with me now being a published illustrator back then. And that taught me a very important lesson on not having to wait for opportunities, because you can be an 18-year-old kid who doesn't know anything about digital art but still become a published illustrator just by going out and asking people or sending the right mail and knocking on the right doors, and you never know what might be open to you. Now, lesson number 2 is that be ready for opportunities when they do appear. Now, between my second and third year of college, I became obsessed with just practicing and getting good at digital art, where I made a lot of these illustrations that you can see on the screen, and this is maybe about 10% of the artworks I did during that time. Now, at the end of my third year, we had the announcement that Disney was coming to take in interns for their internship program or so on, right? And by the time I already had such a volume of work that they looked at my portfolio and got really impressed with the amount of volume and the art styles and the work that was seen. While a lot of my peers were then scrambling in those last few days to put together artworks that they thought that would impress the people from Disney and so on, right? But I already had all of this ready. So when they came, they saw this, they saw the amount of volume that was put into this, and I got hired. So always be ready. Don't wait for the right time to then start working on things. Just keep working, right? Keep chasing your goals and the opportunities will come your way. All right, lesson number 3 is that you don't need to have everything figured out. All right, so I went from being a traditional artist to being a book illustrator, to 3D modeling, to trying out VFX and CGI stuff, to graphic design, animation, and even visual development. And the crazy thing is that at each one of these parts, I thought that this was going to be my final thing. This was going to be what I was going to be doing in the future. Right? And these are some of the artworks that I've created during that time period, and none of it looks like what I do today. So don't worry about the change and don't regret any of this, because you learn so many things from each of these that they always add up to you as an artist. All right. Lesson number 4 is the 10,000 hour rule. Now, there's a saying that it takes 10,000 hours of practicing anything to reach mastery at it. While a lot of my peers were spending like 1,000 hours on a certain project to then make these 10 key projects that would define their portfolio, I realized that my skill level at college was not good enough yet. So I would spend like an hour on an artwork and just focus on volume. So my goals changed from trying to create a masterpiece project to just focusing on skill and volume and getting done with those 10,000 hours as soon as possible. And that is what led me to a lot of career opportunities and also blew up my portfolio and skill set as an artist. Lesson number 5 is that your environment matters the most, control it. Now, I'm not telling you to change your entire environment, change the people you hang out with, or change everything you listen to. I'm just saying control it when you want to work on art and make it as easy as possible for you to work at your best, right? So for example, 2 things that I used to do is I always, even now, put up the artworks of the people that inspire me on a wall in front of me. I don't put up my own works, I put up the works of those artists I look up to. So every time I step into the room or sit at my desk, I'm like, I need to reach this level, right? And the next thing is I would always listen to podcasts and artist interviews and artist lessons, especially after my college time. Like I would go home and when I was doing studies, I'd listen to these 3 main accounts, which is FCD School, Bobby Chew, and Art Cafe. And that definitely made it a lot easier for me to get in the zone, feel like I'm being surrounded by artists, and put out the best effort that I could at the time. Lesson number 6 is that your friend group or community can 10x your learning. And I'm not exaggerating here, where if you look at my friend group at the time, right, there's Sailesh, who was really good at character design, animation direction. There's Vignesh here. He's not on social media, so I don't have an account to share. But he's really good at concept art. And my friend Shivam over here, who's really good at 3D, CGI, and so on. Now, these are 3 different worlds that I existed in the midst of, right, where you get so much different information from these people who are obsessed with trying to get better in their own field, that you then get to learn so much more about what's happening in the art industry, how to get better at character design from a 2D point, from a 3D point, how to get better at lighting, all these different things, right? So just being a part of a group of friends like this, I learned way more than I would just by myself from YouTube tutorials and class, right? because a lot of times we don't know what to search for to improve. So when you surround yourself with other people, right, their inputs are extremely valuable and can definitely excel your learning way faster. Lesson number 7 is that you need to understand your limits and be okay with it. A problem a lot of artists have is that we try to do everything. For example, we have a launch of some product, right? So we do the logo, we do the branding, we do the marketing, we do the website, all of that, everything by ourselves, right? But you actually do a lot more when you can collaborate and communicate, because like I showed you guys in the previous slide, my friends were obsessed with different things. I could not compete with them on like character and animation, like concept art or even 3D, right? So you go at your own pace and be okay with it, but don't stop working hard. And remember, it's not meant to be a lonely journey. So collaborate, find your group of friends, and push each other and help each other up the mountain. Next is to develop one skill at a time. Don't try to be a master of everything, right? Don't try to do backgrounds and characters and composition and lighting and colors all at one time. Like for example, I started by going back to the basics and just focused on drawing. Now, drawing and sketching helped me get a good grasp of the fundamentals of perspective, forms, shapes, which then helped me make better backgrounds, make better scenes, draw better characters, draw everything, right? And then, for example, if you focus on painting, you can then get good at colors, lighting, values, all of that, right? Now, remember, consistent focus is the key, and it builds your work ethic for the future. Because once you start developing habits of just focusing on one thing for a while, you can then replace that with anything, and you know for a fact that you have the skill and the work ethic to carry that out as well. Okay, lesson number 9 is that you need to be doing way more than classwork. So the point of art school or college is just to teach you the basics and the fundamentals of a lesson and then give you an assignment to do it. But you need to be taking that lesson and then doing 10 times more than what they teach you in school. And that's how you're going to put in the volume and the effort, and that's how you're going to build up the skills to succeed. And I would do this every time. Like when I was in the 3D course, I would go back home and make 2 or 3 different models of what we had learned earlier in the day. And that actually got me a lot more opportunities, where I actually worked as a car designer for a startup at the time. And the harsh truth about art school is that it won't really teach you more than what a YouTube video lesson could teach you, but it does create a space for you that you won't get otherwise. For example, if you're taking 2 to 4 years out of your life to go to an art school, you now have 2 to 4 years of complete focus that you can put on just improving your art and getting better. Okay, like that is one of the main key reasons of art school being beneficial, because of that space where you don't have to focus on other things. Lesson number 10 is the most important one, is to get over the introverted phase and get over that whole thing that you're alone and ask questions. Why? Because it's different in the industry where everyone expects you to be at the same level or at the industry level, and they also see you as competition. In art school, everyone is your peer. You all want to graduate, you all want to get good jobs and so on, right? Art school creates a space that's meant for learning and growth. So use it that way, use it to your advantage. I don't get why people don't ask questions and try to figure out everything for themselves when it's readily available. Like if I want to get better at characters, I go to my friends and I show them my work and be like, hey, tell me how to improve, right? If I have issues with 3D, I have friends I can ask. Or you just go online communities, you find out, right? So the same thing goes for growing on social media, right? You don't have to try and experiment. Go ask the person who has few more thousand followers than you, right? There are so many things like that that we just shy away from doing. And I think it's definitely been the catalyst that is responsible for most of my growth. It's just asking questions for things I don't know. And it's such a great hack to speeding up your growth as an artist. Now, these are 10 of my favorite lessons that I've learned from art school, and I hope that this was valuable to you guys. And if you guys want anything specific that you want me to teach you guys, leave it in the comments below, and I'll try my best to make a video on that too. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.